Welcome to Global Academy of Medical Education. I am Dr. Anis. I am here to discuss you about the INI-CET recently Community Medicine Recall May 23. Okay. So, let us coming on the first question, that is related with the Kappa statistics, and we all know that this is very tough topic because biostatistics is always somewhat difficult in the INI-CET examinations. So, as we see here, this Kappa statistics is asked in the question, and option were like 0.5, 0.6, 7, 8, something is that was the option. So, how we can calculate the Kappa statistics? As the name is very difficult, but the formula is very simple, that is Kappa statistics simply is percentage agreement observed minus percentage agreement expected by chance oblique 100 minus agreement by chance alone. So, as we see here, what is the agreement? In this question we said that by the AGRA suspected TB were 80 and by the tuberculosis sensitive test suspect TB were 80 and 20 with no TB. Okay. Or TST suspect TB not TB 80, no TB by the TST suspected TB, and here not TB is 60. So, we see that there is this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. So, we can say that this is the agreement, both are saying positive TST and IGRA, and here both are saying negative. So, this is total agreement 80 plus 60. Okay. So, 80 plus 60 is the total agreement, that means 140 oblique out of 200. Okay. That means it is near about 70%. Okay. So, 70% agreement is there. So, as per the formula we can see here the percentage agreement observed by the simply by 70 minus 100 minus what is the agreement expected by chance. By chance we can see here, by chance simply we can found the total positive by the positive, okay, and the total negative by the negatives. Okay. So, 120 into 100, that is 120 into 100 plus 80 into 100 divided by, in the percentage we can find out it is near about divided by 100. So, it is near about 20%. Okay. So, 70 minus 20 oblique 100 minus 20. So, we can see here the value is 50 by 80, that is near about 0.6. Okay. So, 0.6 is called very fair agreement, we can say substantial agreement is there. Okay. So, it is good. 0.6 statistics means, for example, two tests are test 1 and test 2, both are saying that it is TB suspect and agreement is very strong. 0.6 is very strong agreement, 1 is perfect and 0 is no agreement, and 0.6 is somewhat substantial agreement. Okay. So, it is good agreement is there in this question, the answer is 0.6. Okay. Now, coming on next question is related with basically with the trials. So, as in the question it was written that care is with the RCT. So, that was the wrong option. Care is basically with the case report, CA for the case, RE for the report. So, it is for the case report, and actually consort is with the RCT. Here C and T is there, that is RCT. In the Prisma we can say S and M is there, systematic review and meta analysis is there, and in the MOOS is basically observational. Okay. Okay. So, trials reporting are basically the guidelines are, these are the guidelines, care guidelines, consort guidelines, Prisma guidelines and MOOS guidelines are basically, care guidelines are basically for the case report and consort for the RCT, Prisma for the systematic review and meta analysis, and MOOS for the observational. Another question that was asked about the mean median mode standard deviation, which was incorrect. The correct options were mode is for the qualitative data, which is right. We all know that mode is for the qualitative data, mean is affected by the extreme. We all know that if there is a higher extreme values are there, for example 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 100. So, this 100 will affect these values because we sum all the values by the total n. So, mean is only affected by the extreme values because we include this value extreme values in the mean. Okay, and mode is least affected by the extreme values. We all know that in the mode repeated number is there taken. So, repeated number is taken. So, it is not affected by other values. Okay. So, these were the correct options there, and that option left was the incorrect one. Okay. So, next, coming on the next question, that is related with the incubation period. The question was about near about 4 diseases were there: syphilis, chickenpox, COVID and hepatitis A. And for the syphilis it is 90 days, and in the chickenpox it is 10 to 21 days, and in COVID it is from 2 to 14 days, and hepatitis A it is nearly 10 to 50 days. Okay, it is a very variable 10 to 50 days. So, these were the right incubation period. The wrong question was what was will the option with that is not related with this incubation period was the wrong option. Okay. In the incubation period is a table is given in your notes for the incubation period. You can revise in the game notes. Kaplan-Meier survival plot. We all I have told in the your biostats class that Kaplan-Meier survival plot, it is basically for the survival analysis. Okay. Kaplan-Meier survival basically for the survival analysis, and in the survival analysis there is a Hell-Wellner band test. That was the question. What band tests were there? We all know that basically this band test, we see that is basically for the checking the homogeneity between the two groups. Okay. If we are doing the survival analysis and we want to check the homogeneity, you can read here. This is the band test. This is a survival analysis, and these small lines are the bands. Okay. This confidence band and homogeneity test, it is done by the this Hell-Wellner confidence band test. Okay. So, that was the question. In the Kaplan-Meier survival analysis, homogeneity is test with the Hell-Wellner band test. Okay. Next question was related with the tool for assessing the normality. Okay. The question was asked related with the what are the options that the data is normally distributed. You can check that data is normal distributed or not. So, what were the tests that can be done? The options were histogram, Boss plot, normal quantile plot, also called a normal probability plot, goodness of fit test, that is Sharpe-Wigg test. This was in the option Sharpe-Wigg test, Coulomb-Grove-Simnov test in the SPSS software, and Anderson-Darling test in the Minitab. So, these are the tools they can check the data is normally distributed or not. Okay. Another question is related with the DPT. With the DPT, the question was asked that the child was there and DPT was given, and if the child was crying, and is vaccine should be given again or not. So, the child can be crying by the any vaccine, child will cry. Okay. Sometimes adults will cry. So, here inconsolable cry is the definition, that is if it is more than 3 hours non-stop crying of the child is called inconsolable cry, and if it is there, then it is the contraindication for the next vaccination. Okay. Or 105 °F fever is there, or there is hypotonic hyporesponsive shock. This is the HHS is the side adverse effect of this DPT vaccine basically from the pertussis component. Okay. So, they are the contraindication. If in the question it is written that it is more than 3 hours or inconsolable cry is there. So, usually in the field usually people say that if the child cries for more than 24 months, means बच्चा कल से रो रहा है, आज तक कल सुबह से रोना शुरू किया, इंजेक्शन लगा, जब से आज तक रो ही रहा है बच्चा बार बार, तो that is called inconsolable cry in the fields. It is a practical definition, but in the theory, in the you can see in the CDC guidelines. So, in this according to CDC guidelines, we have to mark the question according to CDC, then that is, if it is written more than 3 hours, then it is the contraindication, otherwise it is not an contraindication. Okay. So, coming on the next question, from the DPT, we are going to type of studies. Formula of standard deviation was also asked. Okay, so it was asked in the earlier exam as well. So, from the standard deviation, it can be denoted by the sigma as well. So, under root summation of the xi is the number of the individual values, and it is the mean, and it is n minus 1 usually for the less than 30 values. If the value is less than 30, total sample is less than 30, then n minus 1 is used, and if it is more than 30, then only n will be used. Okay, n, okay, simple n is used. So, this is the formula of standard deviation, is under root is there. Okay, and if it is not there, that is the formula of the variance. Okay. So, standard deviation formula is second time asked in the question exam paper. So, I have already in the revision test I have said that about this standard deviation formula, that you have to learn that. Okay. Another question is about the type of study, that is most of the people are confused between the nested case control and retrospective cohort. Okay, this is not retro, it is retrospective cohort. So, in the retrospective cohort, we all know that the study started from the back date. Okay, today is the 2023, and we are following the data from 1970. We all have the record based study, and this is the retrospective study from the backward to the forward, but from the past. Okay, but in the nested case control, it is actually a classical cohort study. It is a kind of a cohort study. The case control study is nested in the cohort, so that for example 15,000 people, 15,000 people are followed, and 1,200 develop the disease, and for example 13,800 do not develop the disease. So, we took 1,200 controls from this sample and we compare this. Okay. So, actually this is a cohort because we are following it, but we are comparing, we are doing study after the cases was there. So, study starts after the cases were there and control were taken. So, it is a kind of a name is given case control study. So, nested case control is like that. So, if the question is from the past and records were there unchecked, and today it is doing from the backward to the forward, that is called retrospective cohort. And if it is nested in the classical cohort, following the from the very beginning, and after the after there is a cases and we are comparing the controls are there from taken from the same sample. So, it is called nested case control. Okay. And the case control study is totally retrospective. After disease, we do not have any records there. Nested case control is basically in the cohort. Okay. In the cohort study, it is nested. Okay. We all have record in the case control study. So, recall bias is very less in the nested case control study. In the classical case control study, it is bias is there. And another question was there is the immunocompromised individual, immunosuppressed individual, a dog bite is there. So, in any immunosuppressed individual, if the dog bite is there, it is always a category 3 bite, in which we have to give immunoglobulin, IV intramuscular immunoglobulins are given, and along with that the schedule as per the intradermal or intramuscular schedule of the category 3 bite should be followed for the rabies. But the recommendation of antibiotics, in some literature amoxiclav antibiotics is given, because it basically it is a skin infection can be there by the staphylococcus. So, by the covering of these bacteria, amoxiclav antibiotics is usually given. Okay. In the option metronidazole and ciprofloxacin were given. In the many literature broad spectrum antibiotics is written, but usually amoxiclav is written in some literature. So, the preferred option will be amoxiclav. Okay. Another question was there, it is related with the international health on the category of disease, in the bioterrorism category A, category B and category C. In the category A, high mortality disseminated disease, easily disseminated disease and need special action. For example, Bacillus anthrax, Yersinia pestis, variola, Francisella tularensis, Flaviaris, arenavirus. These families are example. Basically, these diseases are from the category A. And category B, moderately easy disseminated and moderate morbidity is there. For example, Brucella, Salmonella, Escherichia coli, Vibrio cholerae and alpha virus family. In the category C, easily produced and potential for the high morbidity and mortality. This has a potential for high mortality morbidity. For example, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Nipah virus and Hantavirus is the category C. Okay. So, whatever are the options, we can follow according to this category A, B, C. Okay. Another question was there, the image of mite was given, like this image was there. The mite, this mite image is by the related to the chiggers. Chigger is basically a chiggerosis, or you can say a scrub typhus. By the Rickettsia suchomasii, it is a agent and it is a vector. Mite is a vector. Okay. So, this was the image, and the question asked was the what is the causative agent of the disease, that is scrub typhus, that is Rickettsia suchomasii. Okay. Another question was given, the live vaccines was contraindicated because these are immunosuppressive diseases, Wiskott Eldridge, Tachexia, complement deficient, DGeorge. In the two options there were confusion of Wiskott Eldridge and complement deficiency, because in the Wiskott Eldridge there is a somewhat less immunosuppression than the DGeorge, but many literature says that the live vaccine should be avoided here, and the complement deficiency live vaccines can be given. So, the best option in the question was complement deficiency, although it is the question of the pathology, but it is related with the immunization. So, I have taken this question in the INI-CET community medicine recall. So, you should know that on the immunocompromised state, most of the vaccines are contraindicated except some vaccines like rabies, cholera and sometimes polio as well. These vaccines can be given. Okay. So, that is all about your INI-CET recall. I hope you have done great in the question, and you will get good marks in your examination. Okay. Thank you. That's all for today.